So far in the campaign, affordability is emerging as a major theme, with the parties promising tax cuts, tax breaks, better benefits, expanded programs, especially for young families and younger voters so far.
A new Conservative government will help even more Canadians provide their kids with a smart start.
Our priorities are the people behind me, the families that need affordable housing, the people that tell me that they cannot find a place to live.
No one should have to choose between their paycheck and their family.
Justin Trudeau there from St. John's yesterday as he talked up the Liberals' promise of tax-free parental leave. Liberals are also promising more help to first-time home buyers, expanded in those especially high-priced real estate markets. Andrew Scheer says a Conservative government would help families by putting more money into registered education savings plans, RESPs. Conservatives also promising a universal tax cut. And Jagmeet Singh says the New Democrats would spend billions of dollars to build affordable housing across the country. He also promises to bring in a national child care program. We know that Jagmeet Singh will be speaking about a national dental care program as well. From Sudbury, Ontario, we will take you live. We understand he may be a little bit delayed. It was to begin at 8, but it may push back into later this hour. But while we wait for that, let us talk a little bit more about the big promises with the common pitch to ease the cost of living for you and your family. So many people are telling us already that you are feeling the financial pinch, and there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty. Megan Fitzpatrick tapping into those conversations, and there she is in the riding of Davenport, which is in Toronto. Let's say good morning once again, Megan.
Hi, good morning, Heather. We've been drinking coffee and talking politics at this coffee shop on Davenport Road in the riding of Davenport. This is a Liberal-held riding that the NDP are targeting, hoping to win back. They narrowly lost it in 2015, so it's expected to be perhaps a close race again. The former NDP MP trying to get his old job back here. And as we know, a lot of the political parties spending time in and around Toronto because there's so many seats to be won here that are critical to winning power on October 21st. And so we're spending the day here and talking to voters about the cost of living and that issue and what the parties have been promising so far to help ease these financial pressures and anxieties that people might be feeling. And we've been talking to some voters about their views so far. I want you to take a look at what some people have told me so far this morning.
A lot of what we take home after a day's work is taken away from us at the end of the day. And it's creating a big rift between a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people in this area, and a lot of feel the same way.
I think people's wages should go up. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know how people are going to, like my kids, they'll never be able to afford a house in Toronto. It's impossible.
Cost of living is a great concern. Rents are really high. Two people have to be working. I don't know, like if you have kids, how can you afford to pay mortgage and rent and put your kids in extracurricular activities? I don't really see how they can do anything. Lowering taxes, that's not possible when how are they going to decrease revenue?
Some pretty common responses I've been hearing from people this morning, Heather, including minimum wage and rising wages, or not rising wages, people are telling me, and then also the cost of housing, especially in a city like this of Toronto, where people are saying it's impossible to buy a house and rents are going up as well. Let's take a look at what else we're hearing from our viewers along those lines too. We heard from Nancy Taylor, who is talking about waiting to see the minimum wage go up to $15 an hour in Nova Scotia so we can start to live better and no more just surviving paycheck to paycheck. This includes fast food jobs and coffee shop jobs. I've not heard anything remotely close to this yet from any of the politicians. Rob Armstrong has an interesting point of view, Heather. As a single father, he wrote us saying that he has a modest income, children I love and support very much, and all of the costs of any other single parent has. Maintaining a home life for my kids is expensive. I don't qualify for any government support programs. I pay 1/4 of my take-home pay every month in child support. I'm happy to do this. However, I struggle to pay increasing bills. Why don't any politicians talk about supporting the other parent? And we also heard from Blanche Cote in terms of what he's hearing from the party so far and what he likes. He likes the tax cut that has been promised by the Conservative Party. He says that the Conservatives, with their universal tax cut, and likes that they promised to eliminate the carbon tax as well. No special paperwork, no qualifying conditions, no specific demographic. Everyone is included and no one gets overlooked. We're also hearing from Canadians, from voters on Twitter as well. And Wayne wrote us that it's ironic that the political parties are focusing on young families. What about the fastest growing demographic in Canada, seniors? And we have heard from a number of seniors this morning as well who were concerned about their pensions, paying for dental care and medication. So that's a big issue for a lot of voters that we're hearing about this morning, Heather, and we want to hear more. So voters, please tell us what's on your mind. What financial anxieties and pressures are you facing? What would help lessen that? What are you hearing from the political parties that you like so far? And do you think their promises are realistic? That's what we want to hear from you today. So please write us at CBC Morning Live at CBC.ca. Write us on Twitter at CBC Morning Live. And also pick up your phone. Shoot us a little video. It'd be great to see your faces. Tell us where you're from too when you write us. We want to know what part of Canada you're going to be voting in on October 21st. So let us know what's on your mind, the questions we're focusing on today, cost of living, and what you want the political parties to do about it.
You know what, Megan? You mentioned seniors expressing their concerns about dental care. We're going to hear that from the NDP, their plan on that issue at some point this hour. And when you said for seniors and pensions, we expect to hear something from seniors or for seniors from the Liberals as well in this hour when we carry those live policy announcements here on CBC News Network. Megan, thanks so much. She and the riding of Davenport contested in Toronto this time round. Also on this theme, on Power and Politics later this afternoon, Vashi Capellos is going to be live on the University of Ottawa campus, and she's going to be talking about student financial anxiety. Not just students, though. That's a deeply held uncertainty and concern, and looking into the promises that we've heard so far from the major parties, how realistic they are. 5 p.m. Eastern here on CBC News Network. Let's check in, though, with Janice McGregor, who's in our Ottawa bureau. And here we are on day 8, Janice. Lots of cost of living policies from all of the parties. What kinds of voters are they targeting so far as you see it?
Yeah, interesting, right? Because in the first week of the campaign, I think we had a little bit of a bidding war breaking out for what we know will be the largest voter cohort, should they turn out, on October 21st, and that's millennials. So you think about those 30-somethings out there and the kinds of things on their minds. You heard a little bit of it there in what Megan was saying, you know, people who are starting their families or thinking about it, trying to figure out how they can pull it off. People who are maybe stressed about the cost of buying a house close to where they work, or even finding an affordable place to rent close to where they work. People who may be thinking of starting a business, grumpy about their cell phone bills, not at peak earning yet, this group of voters. People looking, though, maybe for a little bit of a break when that paycheck comes, and happy to embrace the idea of tax cuts here and there. All these things I've just rhymed off have been put in the window by one party or another, or sometimes more than one, over the first week of this campaign. It'll be interesting to see, though, as we move into its second week now, whether there start to be some pitches coming over the plate for other groups of voters. I've been interested to see some of the gamesmanship in this, some of the one-upsmanship, like we saw yesterday, Heather, where we had the Tories come out a few days ago, or actually a couple of weeks ago, really, with their pitch about maternity and parental leave benefits, that they were going to have a non-refundable tax credit to offset the taxes that are paid on those benefits. And then the Liberals yesterday come out and say, oh, we're just not going to tax that at source anymore if we were elected, which, you know, is even more lucrative, perhaps. For that group of voters. So early days yet, the promises rain down, but, you know, as you say, the hottest word on the street is affordability.
And when you talk about young voters, that huge cohort, 37%, the most significant voting bloc for the first time, what are the risks for the parties in targeting mainly younger voters?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact is there are other people who have anxieties too, other people who want to be heard. And we know the track record of older voters to actually turn up at the polls is strong. So, you know, if you think about where the parties are today, you know, Justin Trudeau is in the Maritimes. That is a lovely place to retire, right? So if you were planning a tour and you were going to have a message for seniors, that might be where you do it. I'm not trying to scoop anybody, but I'm just saying. You know, I think when we see things that we know are coming in this campaign, like discussion about pharmacare, then we will know that sort of they are trying to aim some messages at some other groups. But of course, just everybody keep in mind, we have had full platforms out now from the New Democrats and the Greens. We have not yet seen everything that will eventually be in a full costed platform for the Liberals and Conservatives. So we are in that stage where it's like plank a day, right? So that's what this morning will be all about as these lives get underway, you know, within the hour, Heather.
Indeed. We're a little bit late in starting with the NDP, but it will begin this hour. We anticipate both NDP and Liberal announcements this hour, and we will have them live. So we'll see if it taps into exactly what you're discussing. Thank you very much, Janice McGregor, who's in Ottawa.